We'll talk, but for me, I only understand one thing. If you want your life to change, then you have to act. Because, please read with me, because we say, action changes things. Have a good morning.
I'm sure UCU can do better than that for Apollo Mboa, Financial Literacy Manager at NSSF. If there's one thing he spoke about that I feel you guys should go with, money itches you if you haven't planned for it. Isn't that what he said? It will itch you in the pocket, in the fingers. So while you have your money, sign up for the NSSF Smart Life Flexi Plan. And I don't know about the others, like you talked about Unit Trust, Zeno, somebody talked about Sanlam. I'll have you know that as of January, NSSF Smart Life Flexi is given the best interest per annum. Stop me if I'm lying, sir. Stop me if I'm lying. Mr. MD will stop me if I'm lying. Smart Life Flexi is given the best interest per annum. You know what the figure is? 13%. 13% as of January this year. So please sign up, head over to the tent over there. You can also download the NSSF Go app. There's going to be a demonstration how you can do that. Stick around and you'll find out exactly how. Or you can head to the NSSF tent. Also, for those ones who have just joined us, there will be internship opportunities. Usually when I say that, people clap. There will be internship opportunities for you today. Who will be the lucky two? We'll find out soon enough. For now, though, time, like they said, waits for no man. So allow me to introduce to you the person who is going to guide us through the next part of the program. You know her, you love her, Pamela Tumwebaze, Director, Students Affairs. I have it on good authority that she's quite shy, so please make her feel welcome.
Is God?
Amina.
Praise the Lord. He said I was quite shy, so why did you stop clapping? Thanks. Thank you. It's a very, very great honor. So the first time I heard about this expo was from Lillian. If she can please stand up. Leslie, she's been calling off the hook together with Hillary, and I was very excited that we would actually be the people to have an opportunity to experience the launch of a Career Expo by NSSF. So I'm going to request all the students of UCU to stand up and clap for NSSF. Please do that. Thank you. Thank you so much. Please sit. NSSF, thank you for giving back. Thank you for choosing us. I think that's more important. UCU is known as the center of excellence in the heart of Africa, and I think you have experienced that right from the gate up to here. And we can show you more as you stay with us. We want to thank the promoters, Absa. It's a great honor to see you here with us. If you can clap for them, please. Thank you. And I'm grateful to the speaker we had previously. So I was supposed to share a devotion, but he did that on my behalf. He talked about the tree that the Lord cursed because it was unproductive. That's something that I think most of us took it with a pinch of salt. We need to be more productive, and I think we can do better. So we thank you for giving us hope and showing us that actually we can still do more. And many of us here are in our 20s. I'm way above that, and I bless the Lord. But I'm grateful to God that actually, even at our age, we shall be able to do more. So I want to say thank you. It's a great honor for me to introduce to you the gentleman who is representing the Vice Chancellor. And I need to also emphasize that the Vice Chancellor is not around because he had a journey that was scheduled for this time. He's traveling on official duty, but he's grateful that you're here. And so he sent the Dean of the School of Business, Mr. Vincent Kisenyi. So I will invite him to come and welcome you to this place, and then we shall proceed as the MC guides. Thank you very much. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Pamela. Praise the Lord. It seems you slept thinking about the expo and you didn't have breakfast. Praise the Lord. Right, join me to welcome our visitors, please. Yes, it is very humbling to host you at Uganda Christian University. And it was earlier on mentioned to us as a school of business that we are the host faculty of the Career Expo. So before I make any remarks, please communicate to all the other students through your WhatsApp groups. Tell them to come, they are missing. You send messages, tell them from law, social science. If we have some of you here, please, this place should be full because this is a golden opportunity. Okay? So on behalf of Uganda Christian University, we are very, very excited to have you at Uganda Christian University. And thank you for selecting UCU to be the place at which you launch the NSSF Career Expo. Career is very, very important because it gives you a sense of purpose in life. You see, for the students, when you joined UCU, at times you joined because your parents have told you UCU is a good place, or indeed any other university. But what is important is for you to know the purpose. Why are you at UCU? What is it? What is next after UCU? So you need to shape your career or your career path. And what a great opportunity for us that a leading corporate institution in Uganda, supported by a leading bank in Uganda, choose UCU to come and help you think about your career. And the conversation of career, I believe, cannot end today. It can only start or continue today. It is a lifelong thing that you need to think about. So if you're in the School of Business, as an example, and you're pursuing a Bachelor of Science in Accounting and Finance, the question is, so what? Okay? Are you going to become an accountant? Are you going to become a finance analyst? Have you thought about that? There are other things you can become. I believe these are the types of questions that you may have, and today is an opportunity for you to have some of these questions answered, or indeed, your mind will be tickled to think in a very focused way about career. The current environment within which we are operating is very dynamic. It is changing. It has been shaken by technology. Only last week, we were at Mbarara at the National Council for Higher Education exhibition, where universities are looking at how to integrate artificial intelligence, okay, in the curriculum. And that is a whole new dynamic that has come up that we need to contend with. But what does that mean in terms of career? Does it mean we are less intelligent? Does it mean we can no longer think? There are lots of questions that come up. This morning I was reading an article by an economist who says that artificial intelligence has come, but it doesn't mean we are less intelligent. Instead, we need to rethink the way we think. And that could be the challenge that we have to look at. So, as we get opportunities given to us to think about our purpose, we need to take these very, very seriously. And as Uganda Christian University, that is the essence. We would like to give a complete education for a complete person. That once a student leaves UCU, they are complete and they can look at all aspects of life. So we would like to thank NSSF. Thank you so, so much. And to the students, please, if I were you, I would purpose not to move until the end of this launch, okay? You never know there are opportunities you might miss if you step out of this place. They may ask a question you can answer, and you miss out on a scholarship. I don't know whether they are going to give scholarships. But opportunities in various ways. You may miss that word which was meant for you as an answer to the very many questions that you have in life. So students, take this very seriously. It is for you. And to the lecturers who are here also, this is very, very important because we are going to continue with this conversation with the students in different ways. So with those remarks, I would like to most sincerely welcome our guests to Uganda Christian University. Ours, we are proud to say, is a center of excellence in the heart of Africa. We do not only say that, but we work towards that. So whatever you experience at Uganda Christian University is a move towards excellence. So we want to thank you, and we completely and totally identify with NSSF and Absa in whatever you do to help the young people, to give back to the community, because corporate social responsibility is a very important aspect of governance. So once again, you're welcome, and I know we are going to spend quality time with you, and I wish you all the best as you listen in. Like I've mentioned to the students, please send out messages, invite all your friends, okay? And I know you have friends, okay? Invite all of them. This could be the best thing to do for them this semester, even before the exams. They shouldn't miss this talk, okay? Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Mr. Dean, you're absolutely right. These kids did not have breakfast today. Please clap for the Dean like you mean it. Yes. There are some things in life that are true. I'll tell you two of them right now. Number one, clapping when you don't mean it is just unnecessary wear and tear. If you don't know what wear and tear is, there are guys in some swag over there from the engineering department. They'll explain to you wear and tear. Engineers of UCU, I salute you. Is this uniform? No, I only ask because I don't know. Is it uniform? Huh? Okay, so like the doctors have their smocks, what they call them, scrubs. So the engineering ones are called what? Oils? What are they called? Huh? It's simply called overall. That's it. It's just overall. Guys, put your hands together for the engineering department. Clap for others until it's time to clap for you. Clap for the engineers. Thank you very much. You spoke about breakfast. I will have you that one of our partners here is 7-Up. So there's a snack for you guys. If you didn't have breakfast, the MD is going to shoot you around. I'd like to recognize the presence of the Marketing and Customer Experience Director, Absa. That is Helen Basuta Nangonzi. She's in the house. Now, Absa, who are also one of the partners for the Career Expo over the years, have what they call the Readiness for Work program, which I believe is happening at your tent. And they will school you in 4 fields. There are skills that you need. Somebody here has talked about soft skills. You, sir, with a cap, you talked about soft skills. Absa has a program that takes you through 4 facets: work, entrepreneurship, money, and people. All very, very important for you on your journey when you are building your career. Is it not? Is it not? Sent you praise, sent you praise. There's a gentleman over here who looks really nice, and I feel compelled because of his outfit. Man who's dressed like a Turab Arab. Please, we're in the rainy season now. I don't want this outfit to get messed up. Please. Well done, sir. He's probably the smartest dressed in here, besides the engineers, of course. You guys look good. I don't have enough umbrellas, and I'm sure your overalls are waterproof. For now, though, I would like us to move on to our next speaker, and far be it from me to introduce our next speaker. So I will ask the Head of Marketing and Corporate Affairs at NSSF, Barbara Teddy Arimi Muganga, to do the honors and introduce the MD of the National Social Security Fund, Uganda.
Good morning. I hope you've learned something already. That's beautiful. I'm going to introduce a gentleman who has inspired most of us. He's none other our Managing Director, Mr. Patrick Michael Ayota. Patrick has been with the fund since 2011. He previously served as the Chief Finance Officer, several roles as Director of Finance in Absa, and also in the US. He served in several capacities. I'm going to tell you about his qualifications because part of the discussion around making money just means that you also need to have a skill that you can actually get paid for. And so he does have several skills. He is a certified public accountant. He also holds an MBA from the University of South Carolina in the US, and a Bachelor of Science in Finance as well from the US. So skills are very, very critical for any job. If you want to be an MD, I think you've seen the lineup. So let's put our hands together and welcome Patrick to address us. You're welcome. Welcome, Patrick. From here. Or you want to start? It's all right.
Good morning. Good morning. Okay, of all the things she said, the one thing you need to remember, I'm from Tororo. In a little village called Nyem Nyem. Now, many of you may, it's a little village. That's where I came from. That's to say, I don't care what village you came from. It can be the little Nyem Nyem. You'll get to places. So I decided to do something slightly different. Many of us live in this country. And maybe you look at Uganda through the eyes of potholes. You look at Uganda through the eyes of the problems it has. And maybe that's how even you look at your life. Or I wish I had grown in somewhere else. Let me show you a side of Uganda I see. And you'll agree with me, a short discussion. Okay, let me see, I'll stand around here so that you guys can see. I hope you guys can see that side. All right. Many of you may not know where Uganda is. Interesting thing about Uganda. Smack in the middle of Africa. 3.5-hour flight to Cairo. 3.5-hour flight to Lagos. 3.5 hours flight to Johannesburg. So basically, it's right in the heart of Africa. Let not where it is show you, but you can pretty much cover the rest of Africa when you start from Uganda. Many of you may not know, one thing that gets me a lot, Many of you don't know that our national language is Swahili. And many of you don't even know that language. Don't even want to learn it, but it's the national language in our constitution. Okay, what we are and what the others say about us. Interestingly enough, Winston Churchill called it the Pearl of Africa, but that was in 1904. That's when he called Uganda the Pearl of Africa, 1904. 2024, there was Bradded Guides. They named Uganda the #1 tourist destination in Africa and the 4th in the world. And on that list, Switzerland was #1. Not a bad company to keep. BuzzFeed in 2023 named Uganda the 13th most beautiful country in the world. I disagree. I think we are #2. But I didn't write the article. So we'll go with what they say in that case. We are the home of Lake Victoria, the largest freshwater lake in Africa. We have the largest number of Mount gorillas in the world. I know if you're here and you're from Rwanda, we know the story you've been talking about. We have those gorillas, actually Ugandan. Once in a while, they just go and visit. Now we've just figured how to name them better than we do. We have the River Nile, the longest river in Africa, in the world. Over 1,000 bird species to watch. Only in Uganda, please, if you're in the park and a lion is chasing you, don't climb a tree, because you will not escape. And Mount Rwenzori is the 3rd highest in the world, but that's not what's the most interesting about it. A mountain at the equator with the snow on top of it. You don't find that anywhere else. We the people love to work hard. We pray earnestly. We honor our traditions. We enjoy a fresh, unique cuisine. There is no place that cooks in banana leaves. We call it Luombo, for some of you who may have forgotten. We create champions in all we do. I see some people from Kenya here. Now you can see the guy behind there trying to get hold of our guy. Now, if you're not from Kenya and you're from Tanzania and Rwanda, your guy hadn't even come around the corner. And we dance like there is no tomorrow. You can get to across Uganda conveniently on Uganda Airlines, on our highway, go to Kalangala, enjoy the walk, get on a boda, or just take a ride. And you can choose to stay at the Serena, 5-star, in Mbarara, live in a simple African hut in Nyem, or enjoy an outdoor tent. And that is a glimpse of my awesome Uganda. But let me just show you this video.
Where the sun wraps the sky in warm and golden light. Here the snow-capped peaks meet the equator. Opportunities soar as high as our majestic mountains. The wild calls with the promise of adventure and discovery. And the waterfalls echo the endless possibilities flowing through our land. Beyond the stunning landscapes lies the true heartbeat of Uganda. It's in the vibrant, dynamic people. It's in our relentless drive to make lives better. Our hope in tomorrow's nation builders. It's in the rhythm of our dance. It's in our passion and every stride towards progress. In the moments that bind us. In the rich fusion of our cuisines. It's in our everyday hassle and in our grind. Striving to build a brighter, more prosperous future. Uganda, a land abundantly endowed with resources. Brimming with opportunities waiting to be harnessed. Where possibilities are vast as our landscapes. And the spirit of progress is unyielding. This is Uganda, a place we call home. Explore and invest, and ravel the pearl of Africa.
And that is our Uganda. Now, I saw some of you wondering, say, that's our Uganda. take a look at your life. That is a reflection of how you can see your life. Many of us came through various challenges, but you're here now. In spite of the odds, you are here. And that, do not take it for granted. I think we were talking today as both the dean was talking and the Mbao was talking here. We belong to God. And He's brought you this far. So on top of that, just add the two things. On top of what everybody has said, add the two things to build that brand called you. Because the thing I'm going to share with you, when you do, the probability that you'll increase your chance of success is very, very high. One, two things keep, because they're free. You and I have access to it now. You don't even have to wait. He mentioned one of them, time. You know the amount of time we squander. So you are known for somebody who doesn't keep time. I'm coming at 10 tomorrow, then you show up at 11. And you think it's okay. It's not. The more people know you keep time, even if you are the first and you're the only one, show up on time. That is half the game. Many of us don't show time because, they're not going to come on time. Not only don't you show up on time, but in every Kwanjula, every Kuchala, every wedding, every funeral, you're the one who is there. You only have 24 hours a day. Bill Gates has only 24 hours a day. I only have 24 hours a day. So your wealth is going to be based, how do you use your 24 hours? Because you don't have 25, you don't have 26, you only have 24. What are you going to do with that 24 hours? The first thing is keep time. Then don't allow other people to waste your time. If you have an appointment, okay, if you make an appointment with me and I say, okay, come and see me at 10, and you show up at 10:15, most likely you'll not see me. Unless you have something I want from you, then I will say, okay, you see, if you go to see the president, he will tell you 9, but because you want something from him, you wait, even if you see him at 12. But unless you are like that, don't allow somebody to waste your time. So keep your time. When you get that and you have a reputation, you keep time. That's an asset that will take you long in your career. Number 2, keep your word. Let people know you keep your word. So you borrowed 10K and you said, I'm going to bring it back tomorrow. Please take it back tomorrow. When you build that reputation, that when you borrow, you pay back, you keep your word, you have no clue what that will open for you for the future. People think that money is about, there is enough money looking for a home. But many of us cannot get that money because people don't know us or can't trust us. The moment people trust you, and they will trust you because they know you are good at your word. Now you may tell, but suppose I don't have the money tomorrow. I don't have the 10K. Yes, it happens. Please. If you had said you're going to taking it back at 10, at 9 call and say, Sebo, Nyabo, you know the 10K I said I was going to bring? I can't bring it at 10. I need some little more time. Call. Do not wait for 10 to disappear, to come, you are quiet. 11, you are quiet. Midday, you are quiet. Then you even turn off your phone. I'd rather call me at night. I'd rather you are angry with me at 9 o'clock. But you know what? At least I was honest enough to alert you. You build that reputation. And that you can do now here. Keep time. Keep your word. Those are assets that will take you places. How many of you girls would like to marry a man like that? He keeps time. He keeps his word. And how many men would want to marry a girl like that? She keeps time. I know you ladies sometimes. You keep time, and you keep your word. So you want the best husband, you want the best, you want the best wife. Those two. Keep time. The foundation, of course, is your relationship with God. But don't embarrass God by becoming late. By the way, God was never late. He showed up on time. And he kept his word. So underneath that, those two things begin to do now. And I'm going to tell you something. Doors will open for you. I've got people who have sold me land when I didn't need the land. My neighbor told me, Patrick, I need to sell you this land. He had put it on the market for $1.6 million. I told him, no, I can't afford that land. 6 months later, it was $900,000. I said, I can't afford it. He said, Patrick, I need you to have this land. I said, I don't need the land. He says, no, please, I need this land. I want you to have this land. So eventually, I said, okay, but you're going to have to give me a payment plan. So we agreed, $250,000. He says, fine, okay, how long do you want? Now imagine, this guy is selling his land to me, and somebody had showed up who was giving him $400,000, but he didn't want to give it to him. He said, I want you because I know you'll take care of this house. So I said, give me 4 years. Payment plan. So I did. And I began to pay it slowly by slowly. I finished paying it last year. I paid it about 6 months, finished 6 months ahead of time. We met, we met in January. He came to the house. He was so excited because I've painted the house. So I knew you would take care of this house. The MD of Absa is here. He will tell you something. When we hire you to work in a bank or any place, we don't look for an accountant. We can train you on that. We know we can train you. It's not rocket science. It's not that we're going to ask you to operate on somebody. That one, even to be a doctor, we train you. We're looking for integrity. How do you prove that you are that? I'm hoping that I hire you and there'll be integrity because I can't teach you that. That is the value that Mboa was talking about here. Finally, whenever you get a chance, volunteer. On campus, begin to hone those skill sets by doing something. Do not be one who just says, no, I'm not going to work. Volunteer, because in there you begin to find out what you're good at. I tell guys, some of you, you never know, you look at yourself and say, oh my goodness me, but I'm not good at anything. And yet, every party that's organized, they choose you as treasurer. You should stop and ask yourself, what do they see in me that nobody else sees? Maybe there's an aura you have that attracts people to you. The way you describe yourself matters. One time I was telling something, many of you know conductors, eh? If you've been in a taxi, you see a conductor. If somebody asks you to describe that conductor, most likely you're going to say, very rude, very dirty, a thief, doesn't know anything, correct? And if you're a conductor, maybe that's how you describe yourself too. I am dirty, I'm rude, I do whatever it is. But stop a minute. What does that conductor do? That conductor is a very, very vital member of that company. He's the one who tells the driver, Masao. He manages and identifies opportunities. He's the one who will stand and yell, whatever it is. He's a marketing manager. He's the one who collects money. He's a cashier and gives change. Now, if he began to look at himself that way, I am a cashier, I'm a marketeer, I look for opportunities, do you think he's going to think he's dirty? He'll even dress differently. Same job, but he's seen himself differently. And this whole career thing is about that. More than just talking about the opportunities that are available, the thing is, what is in you that needs to come out? And it doesn't matter whether you're in year 1, year 2, year 3, or year 4. It does not matter. There's something artificial intelligence will never take. Integrity, values, those are human values that God gave us. He will never take those away. In fact, they said, but most people are saying that, AI is going to take our jobs. No. AI will not take your job. The person who masters AI will take your job. Not AI. Technology will not take your job. The guy who manages technology will take your job. So how do you want to play that game? God bless you all. Thank you.
Oh, yes, let's give a round of applause, a louder one. So Rudende came here and put the engineers up here. I want to bring all of you, the rest of you, up there where they are. Clap for yourselves. You are also all very smart, apart from those who are wearing Crocs. Ronnie Awanyi is my name. Once I went to an international school and spoke to kids, and I said, I'm Ronnie. And then the kids said, like a dog, one name. So from that day, I learned how to use both. I work here in the Communication and Public Relations Office. And it's my honor to invite Helen Basuta Nagonzi, the Absa Bank Country Director of Marketing and Customer Experience, who will in turn do the honors of inviting the next speaker. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. Thank you. Another good morning. Much better. You know, they say there's another partner up here. Who's that? Who's the other partner outside Absa? 7-Up. So use some energy. You're about to get a sugar boost. All right. My job this morning is pretty simple. It's to introduce David. David Wandera is our interim managing director at Absa. He has put in a lot of time to hone his skill. He has over 20 years banking experience. Of those 20 years, from 2017, he's been with Absa. David, I will not mention the other places you have been, but I'll mention that at least he has also been with the regulator. He has worked for Bank of Uganda. He's a chartered accountant. He holds also a master's in international finance from Leeds University in the UK, which he got with a distinction. That deserves a hand clap, right? So David, I'm not going to go into the other areas of the CV. All I can assure you is that he has put in a lot of time to hone his experience. He's worked on strategy, and today he's here as our interim managing director, representing Absa. You're welcome, David.
Thank you, Helen. Patrick, I was excited to hear you talk. My name's David Arthur Wandera. I missed the start, but I'm glad I caught it. Dean? Yes, because I figured that you are the only person who's here. Yes. So I'll just start by thanking our host today, the leadership of University, Uganda Christian University, Mukono, UCU. We don't have our state minister. I was expecting him to be here. Patrick, Ben is my friend also and colleague. I've known him for very many years. Students present, distinguished partners, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad to see the hall is full. The first thing I asked when I got here was, how old are the people here? From what year to what year? How many third years are here? Okay, how many first years? Brilliant. Okay. Do we have a course longer than 3 years? 4. Yeah. Huh? 4. Okay. Any fourth years? Great. I think the fourth years are preparing for graduation. They are the fewest. They're here. Yes, but I can see them. It's a pleasure to be here. Absolute pleasure. My name's David Arthur Wandera. I'm the interim managing director for Absa Bank Uganda. Let me tell you just a bit about myself. Like Helen said, she didn't want to go through the whole CV. I left university 25 years ago. And when I got A-level, I couldn't get through a quick maths quiz and get more than 5 out of 25. Yes. Those days, the combinations that were popular, everybody wanted you to be an engineer, you know, a scientist. And when I look back and I think about South Africa, It's strange, you may not know, but during apartheid, the blacks were not allowed to study sciences. Mathematics, physics, chemistry, because those were supposed to be the preserve of the privileged. And they were trying to lock them out of the professions that they thought the future held. I'm glad to say that many years later, the landscape has changed. You don't have to be only a scientist. I mean, we have TikTokers, YouTubers, AI specialists. It's a different world now. So, yeah, the world is your oyster. And this is a very good time. If we had the knowledge that we have now and we were seated where you are, we would be very excited. But unfortunately, some knowledge comes with experience. Yeah. So, I finished my career with a BCom. I went on to do auditing at Deloitte and Touche, and I quickly decided I didn't want to be checking people's work for the rest of my life. And auditors basically check the integrity of financial statements. And they're not very welcome in organizations, but they are very, very critical. Because if you're an external auditor, people are afraid you're going to find fault with their work. You know, I was an external auditor, and I did that. But as an accountant, I still wanted to do accounting. So when an opportunity came, I joined the Central Bank, Bank of Uganda, as a banking officer, as an accountant. And 4 years into that, I decided I want something different. And I decided to apply for about 6, 7 scholarships. Do my GMAT, do my SAT, because my mother was a nurse and she didn't have money to pay for a master's. I was a government scholar. And the first year was very difficult. I got a couple, got close, I failed. The second year, I went again, and miracle had it, not providence. I actually sat for 2 scholarship interviews, and I got awarded 2 scholarships, one to the Netherlands, one to the UK. So I'm a Chevening alumni scholar. Yeah, the British government, together with the Ugandan government and the Chevening sponsors students to go. And I decided to go to the UK. Part of the reasons was I felt that the education system was closer to the Ugandan one. The other option was to go to Amsterdam. I also won a Dutch scholarship at that time, so I chose the UK one. And my eyes opened. One of the first lectures I went to, the lecturer said, I'm going to make you challenge everything you've ever known and everything you've ever believed. And I secretly said, God, I hope I don't live here not believing in the Bible anymore. I still believe in God. But I'm just basically saying that journeys take a while, and sometimes they're different folks. And maybe I'll open that up for Q&A or later, but let me get back to why we're here. At Absa, our strategic focus is to be an active force for good. Basically, helping the communities in which we operate be better. And through our Ready to Work program, which is part of this fair, we basically allow you students to participate in a free, self-paced digital learning program that teaches you things you basically wouldn't learn in school. Yeah, essential for work. You know, when you leave school and leave the classroom, it's very different from the real world. You'll see those books that say what they didn't teach you in business school, what they didn't teach you in university. It's very, very important. I have a friend who actually wrote a book, Dr. Dan Rweza, I think something about that also, what they didn't teach you at university. Very important. Ready to Work helps you learn essential skills to do with work, money, people, entrepreneurial skills, and advanced skills also like blockchain technologies and computational thinking. And over the years, we have had 10,000 young people registering and benefiting from this program. I would encourage each of you to take advantage of this opportunity and register and complete all the essential modules. There's a team from Absa here that will help you, guide you through this. And hopefully, through doing that program, you will leave better people. You will learn skills beyond what you learned in your classroom. Coming back to this expo, I'm glad to note that you will learn more about my passion, which I'm going to talk about, personal finances, managing personal finances. I'm very, very passionate about that. I'm an accountant. I come from a long history of treasurers. You know how you say why people constantly being asked to do that job? I found out that my two grandfathers were treasurers of their church. One of my uncles is a treasurer in one of the churches. I've also been co-opted as a treasurer for many other things. So I figured, I think it's something we can't run away from. Maybe we are good at keeping money. Now I'm here, a treasurer of sorts, keeping money for all our depositors. Yeah, but also outside of work, I've participated in other different associations as the treasurer. So you can't run, or you shouldn't run from the thing that God has placed in you, the good thing that God has placed in you. You know, we are good and bad. Some of the bad things you need to pray out or choose to walk away from. So I just want to share a small story about finances and how it's important before I talk about the things I think about finances and the few lessons I'm going to share. One, there's a constant desire to acquire in this age the newest thing, the latest fad, largely because of the impact of social media and the desire to fit in and look good. But life is not all about that. You'll find out much later. It's important that you are living within your means and you are making intentional and thoughtful choices with discipline and consistency. When I started my first job, my grandmother sat me down and asked me, "Are you saving?" And I told her, "Grandma, I just left university. I was earning 450,000. I was renting a small apartment that was taking 250,000 of that. And with the living expenses, I was thinking there's nothing left over to save." And she says, "Whatever you do, make sure you save. Deprive yourself, even if you save 50,000, which was about 10% of the salary." And she said, "Start and get that discipline." I'll say that because of that discipline, I was actually so afraid to take loans. Two things, living within your means and saving. There was nothing left over after. But it taught me something very important. And by the way, when I'm saving before tithe, after tithe. You have to take off the tithe, and then you have to save. Not tithe after saving. Yeah, not tithe after saving. And it was quite difficult for me, I'll tell you. But I started that journey, and I remember when I joined Bank of Uganda, one of my colleagues, when I told him I tithe 10% of my salary, he says, "David, that's a lot of money to give to church." He was a businessman. He said, "If you give me that money, I could make you very, very rich." And he is very rich, by the way. He's a real estate guru. But I can say that the things that have happened in my life have not happened by chance. And I say that I believe I have the favor of God on my life. And the protection too. Yeah? Oh, just so you know, I'm an only sibling. My mom was a nurse. My father passed away when I was 11 months. So I was raised by a nurse, a single mother. My first salary was more than she was earning at that time, having worked for over 20 years. So when you see me here, I was not born with a silver spoon in my mouth. Yeah? It can happen and you can do it. The fact that you're in the university means that you're already amongst the most privileged in this country. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? Even money that you're given, you're supposed to be a steward of. What are you doing with it? It's not just for your benefit, but it's for the benefit of those around you. God, the church, your community, your family. So what are you going to do with it? I'm just going to share a few simple lessons. One, start early and leverage compound interest. Money is like a tree, and your initial investment is a seed. Over time, it grows like branches on the tree, leaves, and bears fruit. That's called compound interest. You'd be shocked that now, if you started with a small amount, doesn't matter if it's 50,000, you won't believe that over 10 years, that will be a significant amount of money. And one thing I always said is don't waste. Don't waste. I had a strict grandpa who would always tell me, live within your means. It was so difficult, I never borrowed. But now when I look back as a financer, as a banker, I've learned that it's important to borrow, because if you're borrowing for investment of an asset, it's a form of forced saving. So spend wisely. Yeah. Compounding. Start early. Keep learning and build your knowledge. Financial freedom doesn't happen. It's a result of continuous learning. I'm still learning today. I read lots of finance books, personal growth and improvement books. I have groups where we hold each other accountable, where we encourage each other towards good works, living well, and actually saving and doing the right thing. Some of my favorite books right now, or not right now, historically, are like The Richest Man in Babylon, George Clason. You need to read that book. All of you need to look for that book. It's really small, but it has very good financial lessons. Saving, negotiating with your debtors. I liked that. I like that example, Patrick, that you gave, because guess what? You would be shocked at how willing, if you're a person of integrity, let me put that as a disclaimer, people are willing to give you time to pay your debt. Even the banks are willing to do that when you come clean and negotiate. We do loan restructuring, so it's important. Rich Dad, Poor Dad also was one of the first books I read. It is biased a lot towards real estate, so like most Ugandans who are always thinking about real estate, it would be one of the good books you should read. The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. But one of those books that's not about money that I like to refer to is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. It's about philosophy, it's about fate, it's about life, it's about the choices we make. Look up those books if you can. But why is it important to keep learning? If you're not learning, you're not growing. If you're not growing, you're dying. God created every living thing to grow and get better. How do you know that? Thank you. And to bear fruit. So the more you learn, the more you can give, and the more of yourself you can pour out. So absolutely important. Save for flexibility, not just for big purchases. Many times you think you're saving or you should save only for land. But when you look at people in the developed world going on holidays, just know that they didn't pay for that holiday cash up front. It's because they make a plan literally a year ahead, and they save. If you want to go on a road trip with your friends to Murchison next year for 2 days, it's going to be 600,000. All you need to do is save 50,000 a month. So you need to be intentional about what you want to achieve. Even purchases, by the way, you can save for those. But flexibility. I remember, I think I was listening to Winnie Boyemia, who said that most of African families are one medical disaster away from bankruptcy. Meaning that you fall sick and you get into ICU for 1 day, and they ask you for 3 million shillings, and all your savings are gone, and you're done. So how do you stop that? You basically build up a small buffer and have an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of living expenses. That stuff feels far-fetched because many of you right now might be living with your parents, with your siblings, with your uncles, with your extended family, and that's one of the gifts we have in Uganda. If you have an opportunity to stay at home and not pay rent, you save that rent, don't eat it. Actually have it as an expense and save it. Why? Because the time you go to look for a house, guess what the landlord will tell you? I want 6 months of rent up front. Then you'll start thinking, where am I going to get that money from? So, start saving for flexibility. Why? Because you need to be able to handle emergencies without panicking. That is the real financial power. I'm passionate that you should save, not just so that you buy things, but that you have peace of mind. When we talk about financial freedom, it's not really freedom financially only, but it's peace of mind. It is the ability to do what you want with the time you have. So if you're, say, working in, we may have some people who pay per hour in Uganda, but most times in the developing world, you're paid per hour. I used to work during my master's I used to do silver service. Any of you understand what silver service is? It's a sophisticated way of being a waitress and a waiter. But it's called silver service because then you had silver cutlery. And you had to know how to put the silver on the table. You know how to put the forks, the big one in, the small ones going out, and how you eat from outwards, inwards. 3 sets. You know the butter, spoon, you know that there's a difference between a red wine glass and a white wine glass. So you see me here, but you don't know that I served people at horse races, I served people at weddings, and all of this I did in the middle of my career. Why? Not just because I needed the money, but I needed extra money. I needed to save extra. So, whilst I was away, I would have said, I'm an officer of the central bank. They can't be seeing me serving. But no, I was in a different country. Nobody knows you, nobody cares. In between my lectures, if I had 5 free hours, on a Saturday, on a Sunday, I had no relatives to visit in the UK, I signed up for that work. But it was very humbling for me because whilst I was working, I realized that there were a lot of Polish and Eastern European people I was working with who for them, that was their lifeline. That was it. And I was talking to them and they're saying they're saving their £5 or £6 an hour to send back to their families, back in Eastern Europe. Me, I was saving, getting that money so that I have extra money. If I had £20 or £30 or £40 every weekend, that's why you know £40 now is about 200,000. So if I had that extra 200,000 every weekend, it means at the end of the month I'd have £1 million, right? And if I had that £1 million and I was not spending it because it's not part of my budget, it means I was saving it. So we need to think differently. We don't think like that. The majority of Ugandans don't think like that. But if there's an opportunity to do that, get that extra money and put it aside. I'm still on saving for flexibility. Live beyond your means. It's very tempting to upgrade your lifestyle. Get the latest iPhone, get the latest, what's the new shorts I've had? The Akitaka shorts or something like that. I know those ones are cheap, but yeah, the latest shoe, the latest step, whatever. But you need to be more disciplined. When I started working, I worked for a whole year at that time and I couldn't afford a phone. So what did I do? I saved my 50,000 every month for my phone. So I started working in October of 2020. In May, around my birthday, my uncle offered me a phone for my birthday. Because they were tired of looking for me and not being able to find me. In those days, you had to make an appointment and keep time. Let's meet at the post office next week on Wednesday. And that's how things used to be. Now, you say, I'm in Tinder when you're still in Nigeria. So phones have made liars out of all of us, But anyway, I basically was trying to live within my means, and I saved that money. I got my first Nokia 3310. You guys should Google it and see it. It was a very tiny phone, and I kept that phone for 3-4 years. To date, I still keep my phones for 4 years. 4 to 5 years, until the phone is really slow that I can't use it. So I stay away from the fact that you have to get the latest phone. That's what I'm saying. Live below your means. Don't allow what is called lifestyle creep. What does that mean? When you get an increment, you find something to spend it on. My first job, because I was staying by myself, and I had to pay. I could not afford to buy those days. There was Domino's, there was Steers, and Nando's. My colleagues were buying Nando's every lunchtime. I was the guy who was buying from the lady who would bring that plastic container. Lukumi, nkumi biri. That's how we used to survive. Yeah? But that enabled me to save, and I've been saving since. So even up to date, when I get a salary increment, I don't look for something to buy. I say, guess what? I'm going to save it. And I keep doing that. So live below your means. Seek professional advice before borrowing. On borrowing, I must say that I started late, and that came because of my history. Because I came from a long history of treasurers who are always saying, live below, live within. They always told me, don't borrow. And that was because if you read the Bible, it says, what does it say about borrowing? There's a verse. The borrower will take away your cloak, right? The borrower is a slave to the lender. And something about he'll even take away the cloak off your back. And that is extreme because it's basically saying, do not be a slave, because the borrower literally is a slave to the lender. But I'll say, borrow. Borrow, but borrow wisely. I only started borrowing literally 13 years after I started working. Borrowing for things like a house and things like that. If I had borrowed much earlier, I would be much further. Why? Because if you're borrowing for an asset that is increasing in value, then you're forced saving in a good way. You understand? So if you get a job, most of you, when you get a job, you won't be allowed to borrow for the first 6 months because you have to pass probation, and then after, you'll be allowed to borrow. Many times, people are borrowing to buy a car. People are borrowing for wedding. Yes, people are borrowing for weddings and things like that. And I keep telling people, live within your means. I got married 13 years after I'd left university. But even for my wedding, I didn't borrow. I surrounded myself with good friends, and I made sure, like I always tell people, if you're getting married, be able to dress yourself, be able to have your ring. If you had to go in front of the person who was going to wed you, you just need clothes and a ring, right? That's the wedding. Be able to get yourself a wedding. Everything else is extra. I had a friend who invited us for her wedding, and we had it in Baptist church, and we cut the cake, and they served the cake, and they served sodas, and they said bye-bye. It is totally not what the typical Ugandan will do. Yes? Yes. And for the ladies who wanted to walk down the aisle, yes, you can walk down the aisle. Maybe you won't get to walk down the garden. Yes? But guess what? Those people are so far ahead financially because of that decision. When I spent for my wedding then, I ended up only paying 10% of the wedding cost because thankfully at that time, lots of my friends were working and they helped finance the wedding. Even my parents were asking, when are we having meetings? I told them, you don't have to have a meeting. What do you mean? We are the parents. We need to have a meeting. I was like, no, you don't have to meet. Where is the budget? It's here. What has been covered? I've covered this part, which is the wedding, the church, the whatever. The rest, we'll cover it with my friends. What do you mean? And I remember having a fight with my wife over decoration. She wanted expensive decoration. I wanted cheap decoration. I told her, sweetie, this decoration is going to be thrown away the next day. So we reached a middle point because she needed the place to look nice, and we did that. But guess what? The wedding in 2013 cost 40 million. At that time, people were having weddings of 100, 200 million. Yes. Now it's $1 billion. Now it's houses. When you have a wedding and it's equivalent to a house. Imagine that. that if you had a wedding and you never had to pay rent for the rest of your life. Yeah? So, when it comes to borrowing, back to that, borrow wisely, seek advice. Now, as a banker, I'll tell you that if you're going to be disciplined, borrow for an asset, borrow early rather than later. Borrow early because it's a form of forced saving, but also come to the banks and ask for advice. Be wary of a banker who's telling you, no, you can always take. No, ask them for the advantages and the disadvantages. Always when you're having a conversation, ask what's the upside and what's the downside. Always ask those questions because those questions will reveal a lot in any of your conversations. Even in your friend. What's my disadvantage and my advantage with you being my friend? That's a very revealing conversation. Even for the people you're looking to date. Very, very important. So, being here, I just want to say you're already on the right track. Leverage the advice you're going to get. Leverage the resources. Myself, Helen, and the Absa team are open to answering any questions you have. And any direction or wisdom you need to point you in the right direction financially. So reach out to us. I tell you that now, even as a 47-year-old, I'm looking and I'm thinking to myself, I need to talk to the guys who are 65 and 70 such that I do not make the mistakes they wish they didn't make. So I'll request and ask each of you here to get a mentor. But not just any mentor, and mentors take different forms. Even your parents, even your uncles, even your older cousins can be your mentors. You know, plans fail for lack of counsel. That's what Proverbs says, right? Before you make a decision, ask. If you need to ask 3 people, 4 people, ask. But ask. There's a Chinese proverb that says, ask a question and be a fool for 5 seconds or something like that. Don't ask a question and be a fool for the rest of your life. So never be afraid to ask. Never be afraid to ask. So just remember, start early and let time work for you. Keep learning. Knowledge compounds just like money. Save for flexibility, not just things. Live below your means no matter how much you earn. Borrow early but wisely. Invest in assets that grow in value and seek professional advice before getting into debt. And use the resources available to you like your bank. Thank you. Have a good day.
We spoke about clapping. Not because I reminded you. What did we say? We're clapping when you don't mean it is what? Is what? Unnecessary wear and tear. So clap like you mean it. Well done, UCU. You walked in after I had introduced the people with the hardest swag in the building. I'm going to ask them to stand up, please. I've never seen this anywhere else. Please, all the engineers in the house, show us your swag. Yes, I see one. Please, they're there at the back. Please, stand up. Faculty of Engineering, Design, and Tech. Where have you seen that before? Well done, guys. Please sit down. Do you guys have honorary engineers? Because I feel like, how about you guys don't have enough material for my size? If you laughed, God has seen you. Once again, thank you for coming to the launch of the NSSF Career Expo 2025. We are in UCU, in case you didn't know. Who doesn't know we're in UCU? Be honest. And I'd like to thank our partners. Absa have a ready-to-work program that's happening at their tent. Their tent is a red tent on the outside. Please go over there, and they will fill you in on how to get ready for work. Beyond what you're learning at the university, whatever you're reading here, that's good. But there's certain soft skills, like the MD said, will add value to who you are as a person at your company and on your career path. We'd also like to thank NSSF for doing this as they have done all these years. The Smart Life Flexi Plan I mentioned it earlier. Who remembers what percentage as of 2025 January they are giving? Yes, you, sir.
So they are giving 13%.
Very good. Let me give you a notebook so that you can write. You want a notebook or a T-shirt? T-shirt, eh? Both. Please. We're the Christian University. What's that they say about the one with the talents? To whom much is what? They will receive and keep on receiving. Thank you very much, sir. You have an interesting accent, though. Where are you from?
I'm from Congo.
You're from Congo? Motonangai.
Sagonini.
Nasapeli makasi.
Asante.
Zinziakote abimila malembe. Aye? Yeah. Yeah, you thought, why did they hire me? Multi-talented, multilingual. Speaking of multilingual, our next speaker speaks 8 languages. 8 languages. Who here speaks more than 4 languages? He is twice the man that you are. Please help me to welcome. You know him for many things, but today he's wearing the hat as Head of Corporate Affairs and Partnerships at Next Media. I absolutely love this man. Mr. Ben Mwine.
Thank you so much, Rudende. Good morning. Rudende and I go back a long way. I discovered Rudende when he was...
Don't tell my secrets.
I don't tell your secrets.
Don't tell my secrets.
I discovered Rudende when he was a university kid at Nkoyoyo University. We had gone to do something called the Celtel Africa Challenge at the time. And I saw this bubbly bundle of life.
Now it's called Airtel. Celtel, Zain, Airtel.
Or Zain now, yeah. And I remember saying to him in that field at Nkoyoyo University, you're going to be an incredible human being. You're talented. You're going to do great things. And here he is now. Just in case anyone doesn't know, if you listen to 88.2 Sanyu FM morning show, that's the voice. Just in case anyone didn't know, right? It's an absolute delight to be here with you. UCU is one of my homes. I am married to UCU. Literally, my wife was here for her studies many years ago. But I also love coming here a lot. Is there anyone here who has been for any of the Talk to Mama Pesh sessions? Anybody? You have? Okay, so we've interacted a little bit because it's one of my favorite places to come. My purpose in life is helping young people become better versions of themselves. And so for me, when my boss sent Patrick his regrets last evening that he couldn't make it, I was excited that he couldn't come. So he sends his regrets, please understand. He wanted to be here. He believes in young people. He loves young people. But something came up and he couldn't come, so he asked me to come. And I was more than delighted that I got to represent him. So please receive our apologies and regrets from Mr. Kin Karisa, who is the Group CEO at Next Media. What I'm going to do in just a few minutes is simply to help you remember what you've heard from the Dean I have a very big problem referring to Mr. Wandera as David because I know him as Dau. I've known Dau for 30 years. We've grown up together. We do life together. We are literally in the same circle. And so for me to call him interim MD is always a struggle. I remember we were having a chat with Barbara and I was telling her about Dau and she's saying, who's that? So I have to keep reminding myself, to Helen rather, and I have to keep reminding myself, I'm talking about Mr. Wandera. And of course to Patrick and Barbara and the team at NSSF. It's an absolute delight to be here with you. My job is to help you remember the things that you have been taught. The wisdom you have received from Apollo, from Patrick, from the Dean, from Dau, forgive me, is invaluable. The challenge is that sometimes we struggle to remember things that we have been told. And my job is to help you remember. And so I'm going to ask you to give me permission to do some things with you that hopefully will help you remember things that could be life-changing for you. And for you to give me permission, I'm going to ask that you interact with me. I will ask some questions. I want you to be able to answer them for me. I'm going to ask that we memorize 2 or 3 things. And for you to grant me permission, I will ask you to raise your hands as a sign of you giving me permission to engage with you so we can learn together. Is that okay? If that's okay, show of hands, please. Permission. Okay, the ayes have it. This is Uganda Christian University. I'm going to start with a Bible verse. I will end with a Bible verse. And your first challenge today is I'm going to ask you to memorize a Bible verse. It's a very simple one. I'm sure you'll be able to do it. I love reading the Bible. It's something that for me comes second nature. And the Bible verse that we are going to memorize is in the book of Philippians, chapter 3, verse 13. You can write that down, but you won't need to because we are going to memorize it. I'm going to read it from the easy-to-read version, so it's easier for us to remember. This is what it says. Brothers and sisters. Now, walk with me for a second, okay? Every time you hear me say brothers and sisters, I want you to recite the verse with me. We are going to go through it 3 times, okay? And then over the course of the next 12 minutes while I'm speaking, every time you hear me say the words brothers and sisters, I want you to help me and recite this verse. Is that okay? 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 We agreed that we're going to engage, so verbal affirmation is, okay? This is what the Bible says. Brothers and sisters, I know that I still have a long way to go. Repeat after me. Brothers and sisters, I know, but there is one thing I do. I forget what is in the past, and I try as hard as I can to reach the goal before me. We're going to do it one more time, piece by piece, and then we'll try and do the whole thing together. Okay? Are you ready? Brothers and sisters, I know that I still have a long way to go. But there is one thing I do. I forget what is in the past, and I try as hard as I can to get to the goal before me. Right. Can we try to do the whole thing together? Are you ready? Are you ready? Okay. Brothers and sisters, I forget what is past, and I try as hard as I can to get to the goal. Every time I say brothers and sisters, I want you to recite that verse. And it's very important because it helps you to be able to remember. You've heard about nyem nyem. It is very easy for a young man who comes from nyem nyem to remember where he has come from, to being an MD at NSSF and be able to buy property worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. That is you here today. And I want to convince you of why you can be able to do this. Turn to your neighbor and say, I want to live my life in 3D. I want to do what? To live my life in 3D. D number 1 is discipline. I'm just helping you remember what you have heard already. Everything that I'm going to say you have heard, I'm just helping you remember. D number 1 is discipline. You've heard this talked about, I don't have to dwell on it. Discipline in every aspect of your life and how important it is. And I'm going to share a story for each of these 3 Ds. There was a man about 30 years ago. This man was a very simple, humble, poor human being who was a literature teacher. He used to ride a bicycle to class every morning. But Patrick talked about this. He kept time. He kept his word. He was disciplined. Those of us who were around him could tell that this was no ordinary individual. All of you know that man. His name is Professor Aaron Mushenjezi. He used to be my literature teacher in Mbara High School back in 1993, before all of you were born. Are you with me? D number 1 is a humble, poor literature teacher who rides a bicycle is now boarding aeroplanes as if they are borders. Do you think at that time he knew he would be boarding planes as if they are borders? No. What he did know, just like that boy from Nyem Nyem, was that he knew what to do, and that was to be disciplined. And here he is now as your Vice Chancellor. How many Vice Chancellors are in Nkoyoyo Hall this morning? How many MDs are in Nkoyoyo Hall right now? You can't see it now. It only comes together in bits and pieces as you go along. D number 1 is brothers and sisters. Some people are not in class. Brothers and sisters. I forget what is in the past, and I try as hard as I can to get to the goal before me. To be a Vice Chancellor, to be an MD, to be a Dean, by having discipline. D number 2 is dedication. Dedication to what you do. If you ask this boy from Nyem Nyem, when he finished university 34 years ago, right? 34 years ago is when Patrick finished university. If you ask him at that time whether he sees himself being a managing director at a fund that has assets under management to the tune of 24 trillion shillings, he doesn't know that. Did you? Did you ever dream? Did you ever think? No, he doesn't. What he does do, though, is be dedicated to what is before him. He studies hard. He creates good relationships. He pays attention to the things that he needs to do. He is dedicated fully. And here he is, as Managing Director of National Social Security Fund. Turn to your neighbor and say, I want to live my life in 3D. D number 1 is, D number 2 is, brothers and sisters. I forget what is, and I try as hard as I can. What is that goal that you want to get to? Because if you're going to get there, you're going to need D number 3. D number 3 is determination. D number 1 is, D number 2 is, D number 3 is determination. My boss, who couldn't be here with you today, was really looking forward to coming. When he was 7 years old, Keen had to become a businessman. Not by choice, but because his mom was struggling and he had to find a way of helping support the family. So Keen used to sell pancakes in the village in Ruhama, in Intungamo. Okay? Selling pancakes. His mom was selling second-hand clothes. And he would go to support. They would make pancakes. While mom was selling second-hand clothes, he would sell pancakes. Think about the determination that he had that has given him the unction to get to the point where now he leads the biggest multimedia group, most likely in East Africa at the moment. We've got 22 brands at Next Media. I'm sure some of you have seen some of the stuff we do, right? Afro Mobile, NBS, NBS Plus. You know this stuff. I won't dwell too much on it. Today is about you, not about us. But that man, who is now a billionaire, used to sell pancakes. Are you with me? Am I making any sense? So there is no excuse for you to say, I come from a poor background, I am from a poor family, see for me, my life. No. As long as you have determination, you have the capability to be able to be anything that you want to do. Turn to your neighbor and say, I want to live my life in 3D. Brothers and sisters, I forget what is in the past. I try as hard as I can to get to the goal before me. Who here would be interested in living their life in 3D as we have discussed? Can I make you an offer? How about we upgrade from 3D to 5D? Turn to your neighbor and say, I want to upgrade to 5D. D number 4, we are going to get to 5D. D number 4 is diligence. If you take all of these things and put them into practice, ladies and gentlemen, your future is very secure. All right? Diligence. Let me tell you a story about a diligent man. You've already heard him speak here today. His name is David Wandera. I've known David my entire adult life. We've grown up together. And let me tell you something about David's diligence. David is annoying. He is a thorn in the backside in every single sense of the word. And all of his friends will tell you that. Anytime you come to David with any suggestion, question, or anything, he starts asking questions. Why this? But then this, but then that, but then what, but then this. Every little thing. I recently interested in David in investing in one of my projects. And he said, okay. And then the questions started. He asked questions. When we were done, he said, okay, it makes sense. He gave me the money. Every week, please correct me if I'm lying, every week he checks in. He says, how are we doing? So, but now you said it would be at 10%. Why is it still at 4%? What's going on here? What's the problem? What do we need to do? What has changed? Have I lied? Every week. That's diligence. Because what diligence does is it allows you to be able to keep track of everything that you're doing and not drop the ball. Say, I want to live in 5D. D number 1. D number 2. D number 3. D number 4. D number 5, which for me is the most important one, is divine. Divinity is something that you are familiar with. You are going to a Christian university. My hope is that the Dean and Professor Mushenyezi have enabled you to be able to interact with the fact that you are made for a purpose, with a purpose. If you don't know that purpose, you're going to be in trouble. Because then you will do anything. Anything will sway you, whichever way. Allow me to tell you 2 last stories, and then I'll wrap up. The first story is mine. When I was in S3 in 1993, I was a very young boy, 13 years old. I went to school very young. Well, I should tell you a very funny story about that. I didn't go to nursery school because I was very clever. True story. I was 3 in S1, in P1. I was 10 in S1. No, seriously. You see that look on your face? I made money off of that look. When I was in S3, we used to tell my friends that I was 13 and they would not believe it, right? And so we discovered we can actually make money off of this. So we'd tell someone, I'm 13, and they would say no. We'd say, you put money. So they put 5K. 5K in 1993 was enough to give you break for 2 weeks. And so what would happen is that we would have this bet. I'd ask my mom to make a photocopy of my birth certificate. So when someone would argue and say, no, you can't be 13. How? Where? We would pull out the birth certificate. Here, 5K. What then eventually happened is that we turned it into a full business, because now my friends who now knew the truth realized that we can actually get free break by using this thing as a business. So they would find someone who is doubtful of my age, and they would be the ones saying, you can't be 13, it's impossible. And using peer pressure, they would nudge someone into getting into a bet with me, and then of course they would lose the bet, we would have our 5K, break enough for a whole week. So me and my entire crew at that time in Barra High School were able to get free break by using my young age. I digress. When I was 13 in S3, 1993, the first radio stations in Uganda opened. Capital and Sanyu, where Rudende works now, where I actually eventually worked. And I promised myself, I said, I want to do this thing. These guys speak good English. At that time, my English was so bad. And I think I've shared, the last time I was here for, talk with Mama Pesha, I shared my story, how I went to Nakasero Primary School for my P7, and they asked me to introduce myself. I stood up in front of the class. Hello, my name is Mwine Benjamini. I come from Kasari. And the entire class laughed. Just the way you're laughing right now. And I discovered I needed to change something about myself. So I went and watched some TV and learned some English along the way. And eventually now I ended up being able to do what I wanted to do, follow my dream, be in the media and I've been on radio for the last 26 years now. I'm on TV. If you've seen a show called Beloved on Pearl Magic Prime, you might have seen me. I play a guy called Henry Kaya in one of those shows, which is a lot of fun. I enjoy doing all of that stuff. The point I'm trying to make, though, is that none of that stuff happened because of any of the 4 Ds. It happened because of the 5th D, because God had already purposed for my life to be such that it would be where I am, where I can stand before a bunch of incredible human beings like yourselves at UCU and hopefully add some value. And I hope I am adding some value, right? Thank you very much. And that's what you've got to ask yourself about what you're doing with the 5D. What are you here to do as an individual, and what are you doing about it? Because your life literally comes back down to that. Now, your backgrounds are different. You've come from different places that might be a bit tricky for you, right? But that doesn't matter because, brothers and sisters, we had switched off. Because, brothers and sisters, to get to the goal. That is how easy it is to memorize Bible verses, by the way, in case you didn't know. I'll finish with one final story. How many people here know someone called Brennan Baby? If you know Brennan Baby, put up your hands. If you've seen Brennan Baby. Okay, about half of the people in this room. I met Brennan Baby at an event with UCC about a month ago. Brennan Baby is a 19-year-old young man who is making as much money as the dean. Your salary is about half of what Brennan, actually, okay, I know Patrick gets good bonuses and David gets good bonuses. I can confidently say that Brennan Baby earns more than the dean. And the dean gets a lot of money, by the way. He's paid well. Please don't misunderstand, right? I met Brennan Baby and he said he had just come back from Dubai on holiday. I said, what? 19-year-old. Doing what? He's doing content. So as we talk about exploring your career choices, as we talk about the experiences you're building through the experiences, as we talk about the engagement that you have with the world and the people around you, the engineers, great. But there are new paths in careers that you're going to explore that you might be shocked to find are nothing to do with what you're studying at UCU. I studied computer science at Makerere University. I have a computer science degree that I have never used. Mr. Walanga knows, I've grown up with him, he knows me very well. I have never used my computer science degree. I just speak English, right? Okay? What are you doing to position yourself to take advantage of the gifts that God has given you to get to where you need to go? We're talking about smart life. I was having a chat with Patrick. Give me 2 minutes, Rudende. I need to demonstrate something. What are the 5 Ds? Write these things down on a piece of paper. Look at them every single day of your life. If you can do that, nothing is going to faze you. I want to talk about money, because all of these things are ultimately, if you don't have money, you are useless. Yeah, let's be honest. Listen, can I be honest? The Bible says money answers, Money answers, not almost, money answers all things. I would like for you guys to be able to make some money. And here's how you're going to make some money. I pulled out a compound calculator when we were having a chat with Patrick over there. I had done some calculation. I'm going to do my calculation, and I'll do Patrick's calculation as well. How many people here are together and you are in a group? You're a bunch of gangos, you hang together for discussions or you do class together. Please put up your hand. If you're near each other and you hang together. How many? Okay, I see a whole bunch of you. Let me do some very quick math for you. You all get pocket money at some point, right? If 8 people, listen to me very carefully. My assumption is that on average, we're about 25 years or thereabouts or below. I'm going to work with 25 as your starting age. If 8 people who are 25 years old come together and put together 50,000 shillings every month, whether by asking your uncles, parents, doing some hustles, whatever it is. If 8 of you can put together 50,000 shillings a month, okay? Do you know how much money each of you will have for your 40th birthday? I'm working on the assumption that your money is going to grow and that you'd increase the saving by maybe about 5 or 6% every year as you grow on, whatever. I'm looking at the most basic calculation. 50,000 a month, 8 of you, you're putting that money together, you're giving it to Barbara and Patrick at NSSF to keep for you until your 40th birthday. Do you know how much money each of you will have on your 40th birthday? 63 million shillings. Can I repeat that for you? 63 million. That's enough money to put a deposit on a house. It's enough money to literally get you started. Am I making any sense? Do you know that you have access to that? Okay, fine. Maybe that's too much money. Let me bring it down to where we are. If you're able to put away 5,000 shillings a week, 5,000 a week. How much? How much do you spend on food around here? Is it safe to say that you can be able to afford to forego 1 meal a week and put away 5K? Yes? 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 If you put away 5,000 shillings every week, using the same principle I've just spoken about, and put that money in Smart Life, for your 40th birthday, okay? 5K a week. 5K a week. And again, I'm working on the assumption that every year you're increasing your saving by maybe about 10% as your money, as you start working, blah, 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 blah. At bare minimum, you will have 21 million shillings on your 40th birthday from saving 5K a week. What has said no? This is all about what you need to do. Say, I want to live my life in 5D. D number 1, D number 2, D number 3, D number 4, D number 5. I said I will start with a Bible verse, I will finish with a Bible verse. I will finish with a verse that many of you are familiar with, and I will ask you to recite it on my behalf. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans that I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope." For today, I will replace that and say plans to give you a better life. Thank you very much.
One more time for Ben Mwine. Ben, let me report. On this side, they were saying increases. All the people on this side, In the wings, not this one here, in the wings, they were saying crescents instead of giving us the Bible verse. Thank you so much, Ben Mwine. There might be some of you sitting there who have a couple of questions. I'm going to take time and allow just 3 questions, one for each of our speakers. So if you have a question for the NSSF MD, raise your hand. But please, ask about this. What was happening today? Don't form your own question in your head. And then I'll give him 60 seconds to answer that question. If you have a question for the MD of Absa, interim MD of Absa, please stand up. Come. Your question is for Absa? Okay. This is Absa. Go directly to your question. You did summary writing, didn't you?
Hello, it's working. Hello, thank you so much. So I understand about your story of having a mother who is a nurse. And on ground, we have something called black tax. Hope you know about it, black tax. And so you growing up and starting earning some little money here and there, and then you have to take care of your mother, and then all these things. What would you advise most of us here, because some of us might be coming from families that they are really having their hopes in us, and we are here looking at saving money, we're looking at paying bills and ABCD. How can we balance that? Because I know some people who die because of black tax. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, while he ruminates on that, a question for the NSSF MD. If you're in please come forward, sir. You have long legs, I'm sure you'll get here soon. Give us your question, direct and to the point.
Yes, you talked about time management and brand building. How do you balance time management, brand building, and education?
We came to the NSSF Career Expo 2025. The MDs are on the rack. I will start with Mr. Wandera, and then we go to Mr. Patrick Ayota. While somebody thinks of a question for Mr. Ben Mwine.
Thanks. That's an important and topical question. I was reading a research about millionaire athletes in the US. And they say that when a millionaire athlete gets out of the ghetto, of the Bronx or wherever, his money is not his. His money is for his auntie who took to walk him to school, his uncle, his mother, his little siblings. And so many a time, those athletes, out of their productive career, sometimes end up broke because they are very excited and they get a huge, the money they earn from their first paycheck is money we dream of earning in a lifetime because they are paid tens of millions of dollars. Yeah? But after a 5 or 10 year career, they are broke. Why? Because, remember what I said? You have to plan. Because many a time when they have that money, they don't think about how far it's going to go, how long it's going to come for. And I like that Patrick is here because that's what NSSF helps us to do, to plan for the future. Yeah? And before they know it, they have bought the mother a house, they have bought the brother a car, they have bought all these things, and in so doing, they have not thought about themselves and what that means for the future. There's a YouTube channel by a guy called, I've forgotten, it's called, it helps couples manage money. I'll remember when I sit down. And this guy basically talks about how you can discuss money challenges as a couple, married couple. I think it says, I'll teach you how to get rich or something like that. I'll remember. I've watched it on YouTube or Netflix. Netflix, but I think you could find it also on YouTube. How do you manage black tax? You know, you have to have a budget. You also have to have a budget for donation. So when I have my salary, I literally have a budget for how much I'm going to give to church outside of my tithe, how much I'm going to give to anyone else who's coming looking for money. And when that money is finished, it is finished. because it's not there. And remember what I told you about borrowing? Borrowing is a form of forced saving. I never have money left over on my account at the end of the month. People will think, how can you not have money? Because I've built structures such that I do not have money that is sitting idle on an account. So there are many tools you could use if you think about black tax. Remember I talked about medical emergencies? One of the biggest challenges for us is health for our friends and our relatives, especially our parents. 5 years ago, after talking to a friend of mine, he said, but do you know, I insure my parents. I'm like, you do? He's like, and how does that do for you? He's like, that means whenever my mother is sick, I don't have to get money out of my pocket to pay for medical. I'm like, really? So there are many tools available. So I decided to take out a policy for my mother and my mother-in-law. Yeah? What does that mean? Whenever my mother needs to go to a doctor, she doesn't call me. But I plan for that. And every year, I renew it. Because they are all above 70, the insurance company told me that they have to wait 6 months because they have to assess if they have long-term medical conditions like diabetes and the rest. But after some time, the policy kicks in. And believe me, it has made life very different. You can actually do that for yourself as an individual. We have micro-insurance. I don't want to do a Kalango, but there's a micro-insurer that does insurance even on the mobile phone, where you pay and you can go to certain clinics, even in rural Uganda. So that's one of the ways you can sort that out. Another thing also is to make a plan. I've not done this, but there's some people who have sat their relatives down and they sit and they say, you have a business plan, right? I'm going to look for this money. And once I give it to you, you cannot come back and ask me for money ever. Because your job is to make the plan work. Right? So it depends on how you want to do it. But for starters, I'll tell you, have a budget. Even for giving. It doesn't matter that I was born, by the way, by a single mom. My mother has adopted many other children. And those children have needed school fees, have needed, so she's like, David, your brother is in nursing school, your brother is in doctor's school, your brother is in, so I actually have to plan for that. Such that it's not a surprise. So sometimes black tax will be unexpected, but actually many times you can plan for it. Yeah, you can plan for it. And I always say, from a long time, look after your friends and your siblings. Early, make sure they're making the right choices. Early, help them make the right career choices. Early, why? Because if you don't sort out their problems early and help them make the right choices early, those problems, if they are your true friends and family, will be your problems in the future. So it's important that your siblings are going to school and they are doing well, and your friends in your clique are doing well. Why? Because if they land on hard times and their kids don't have school fees, guess who they'll come to? They'll come to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wandera. Patrick, your question was around balancing time management and brand building.
David, let me just say something in response to him that sometimes we Christians get guilty about. So you've got a number of people you're taking home, you're guilty because you can't do it all. But let's learn from Christ. The time when Christ would feed 5,000, there's a time when he found 10 lepers, healed one. He could heal all the 10, but he healed one and went away. The woman with the blood, people were trying to get to him. One got through. What's my point? And he's talking about budgeting. Do not feel guilty because you've done what you could and others have not been helped. And I'm going to tell you something that I've learned. I have a daughter. Her name is Naomi. She's at the university today. She was ill a few years ago. And I was really scared. Then I realized one thing. You know what? I am a custodian. She is God's child. And God, you better take care of her. So what's my point? You've got brothers, sisters, people who need help from you. Do what you can. They are God's children. God will take care of you. It sounds so unchristian, but He didn't create any of them. I mean, I have got tons of kids who I'm looking after. I used that methodology you told me. I have 8 who are at the university right now. I got them insurance. It was cheaper for me to get insurance for 8 because one of them got sick last year, and the bill was 9 million shillings, which, if that means if 9 of them got sick, I was wiped out. But still, it comes a point I say, I didn't get insurance for all of them. I can't afford all of them. I say, God, I did my part. Now, take care of the rest. Hard, but you have to, otherwise you'll run crazy. Number 2, how do you balance between branding, timekeeping, and education? And the question is, there's no inconsistency. One of the things that I think all of us have said here is, even as you look for your purpose in life, right now, what are you supposed to be doing? You are in campus. If you don't know what you're going to be 10 years from now, one of the things you mentioned, you talk about diligence, determination, consistency. Just show up in class every morning, attend those lectures, do your homework, turn it in time. That's your purpose for now. The rest are building blocks to the future. So keep time as you go to school. Don't cheat in your exams. Turn it in on time. The consistency between the timekeeping, the branding, and education will all work out together for where you want to go. Thank you.
One more time, let's hear it for our panelists, our speakers today. Head of Corporate and Partnerships at Next Media, Mr. Ben Mwine. The MD, National Social Security Fund, Mr. Patrick Ayota. And of course, the interim MD of Absa, Mr. David Wandera. Thank you very much, sir. Also, Mr. Dean, thank you very much. UCU, I'd like you guys to give a UCU thank you to these guys. I don't know how you do it, but do it. All right, now on the screen you see a QR code. For those of you who have smartphones, you know what QR means. Yeah? You scan it with your camera. It is going to open a link. On that link, you give us feedback. This is practice for when you do the internship quiz. Yeah, and look at them pulling out their phones now. Hey, you want internships, eh? Very good, very good. We're going to give away those internships. Huh? You are done? You're a diligent student. Thank you very much. Let me give you a bottle, courtesy of Absa. She's ready for work, this one. Wait, please, well done. And your notebook is almost finished. Let me give you a notebook and a pen. Please. Thank you very much. Hey, well done. You see, that's how you win. I do know that you have service here today, starting at midday. Am I correct? After that, those who are interested in the internship, stick around. You just might be one of the lucky 2 who gets an internship slot at the National Social Security Fund, which by the way is also open to engineers. Engineers, I see you guys. Don't think we have left you out. Even you guys can get an internship at NSSF. To our speakers, I must thank you again. And as they take their leave from the dais, please let's give them a UCU rapturous applause. Please clap like we gave you soda. While they head out for a photo opportunity, I'm going to ask that the MDs please head to the backdrop for a photo opportunity. They'll be followed by the media, who will also take their questions over there. For everybody else who has been here, thank you very much for your time. Please enjoy the service. May you be blessed. And we'll see you back here after service at 1 p.m. and we find out exactly who is going to get the internship. Yes? Hey, Ronnie Awani has a word here.
Yes.
I love his voice.
When your mother cooks, you say thank you. And when she overcooks, you say thank you very much. And to the guild, this is for you. Where is the guild government? If you're here, please stand up as we applaud them for a job well done in mobilizing the group over here. The Guild.
Samantha and team, here they are.
Oh yes, the Guild.
We present to you your Guild government in UCU.
Led by the President. You've done a very good job. Thank you so much. Guys. Thank you so much. Turn up again. It's very hard to mobilize people when there's no food. Thank you so much. And for yourselves, please.
On the screens, please turn off the screens because we're going to have a service here. But before we go,